Hello and welcome to Coffee with Jenny B. It's conversations over coffee. It's about community, connections, what brings me joy, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jenny Sacco-Bak. With the recent changes in the immigration laws, this has affected a number of newcomers to Canada, and it's affected their roles as it pertains to their workplace. Now, what this means is that because they are hoping to get permanent residency, it causes a lot of unnecessary frustration, uncertainty, and it really dampens their hope in getting that PR, as it's called. So it's really up to the Human Resources Department, basically any department in their employment in the company, to help them navigate this, to reassure them that there are resources available for them, and to provide that support that is desperately needed. My guest today is someone who knows a lot about this situation and who also knows a lot about what HR can do. Her name is Daria, and she is an HR director for Simaril. Welcome, Daria.
Good morning, Jenny. Thank you for having me over. This is a pleasure.
And I'm looking forward to having our conversation about this very subject. So let's start by saying, how did you get involved in HR?
Oof, that was a long journey. I would say it started probably about 9 years ago, 10 years ago. That time, I was still in Moscow, Russia. I was appointed a head of operations for a startup company. That was an internal promotion, and it was a big personal challenge for me. The company was created, it existed for about a year, and it was failing. All operations were just not doing great at all. I wasn't sure that I would make it work. That was a new area for me, but that was my personal challenge. I made it work. I had to establish all operations myself, everything. There was nothing pre-ready. Everything that existed wasn't working, so I had to redo basically everything. Now, I hired my whole team. I single-handedly picked everyone to make sure that I have the best of the best. I planned all the operations. I planned the strategy, the mission, the vision, everything. That experience was probably the best experience in my life because that gave me this incredible foundation. I didn't know I was capable of that. I showed incredible growth, and I even won the award of the year, a breakthrough of the year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. That experience made me realize how important human resources are and were. And this is exactly when I thought, well, I tried it. I have some experience, but I miss the educational component. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I don't know if what I'm doing is the best practice. How can I make it better? And this is when I made my decision to study in Canada, to complement my human resource experience with the education. I studied human resources management at PACE, the University of Winnipeg, and that gave me more than I expected. It exceeded my expectations. And this is how I got in the field. Human resources is broad. It's not just boring bureaucracy and paperwork. It's way more, and it's never ending. Every day you learn and learn and learn. But in summary, that was my journey and how I got to where I am right now.
That's a wonderful story. I love the fact that you really dug in and made it work even though you weren't quite sure where you were going. And sometimes we have to trust our instincts and know that we have that vision and just go for it. And it worked out for you. And a lot of times I think we doubt ourselves. We doubt that we have the ability or the courage or the creativity to make things happen. And you just proved that, when it's important and it really means something, that you really go for it. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thank you. You also need support to be able to do it. If your CEO, if your director team trust you, if you feel their trust, you can do it.
Yeah, and you're right. It's important to have the trust and the support from your colleagues. And also, I know that if everything has to come from top down, because if the management doesn't have the buy-in, then it doesn't really work. So everybody has to be on board and know that, okay, this is what we're up to. Now, I know in my preamble I mentioned about, the immigration laws and how it's affected a number of newcomers. So how does that work for you? Where are you working in Simaril? So what exactly is your role in terms of helping provide them with that support that they need?
That's very sad what's happening right now with immigration. And I can't imagine how discouraging it is for, foreign workers. They're in a limbo. They don't know if they will succeed or if they might have to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when I joined Simral, that was 14 months ago. Wow, time flies. Yeah. I realized that approximately, let's say, 65 to 70% of our workforce are new immigrants.
Mm.
People who are here on the study permit or a work permit.
Mm-hmm.
That means, it's not, and it has an end date.
Right.
It's not that they can just, stay and work forever.
Right. It's not like they can renegotiate and renew, right?
It depends. In the past, it was much easier. There were more pathways, but right now, those options are restricted.
Okay.
So what actually happens is sometimes when, let's say, the circumstances are not in their favor,
Mm-hmm.
they might end up losing their status
Okay.
if there is no way for them to go forward. What I try to do, of course, the employer can try to help, but we are not the immigration office, right?
No.
We can't just do everything and, make it happen.
Right.
Unfortunately, I wish. What I try to do is when I notice that they're on a certain status
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to expire soon, I reach out and check with them. Do they have a plan? Will they be able to extend it? Or are they trying to, find a solution,
Mm-hmm.
but not really being successful at the moment? Then we can have a meeting. We meet, we go through their situation, we go through their options. Sometimes they know more, sometimes they know very little.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I do my best to help. I can't imagine how frustrating it is. I was in their shoes once,
Yeah.
many years ago. And it's really scary when you don't know how your future would look like, if you don't know if you will be able to achieve it, or if you might have to go home. I give them some guidance, some advice.
Yeah.
Of course, I make sure they know I'm not licensed. I'm not an immigration consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So they should definitely check my advice with someone who is licensed in the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least I give them, the right foundation to start from there,
Mm-hmm.
to go from there and to be able, to be proactive, not reactive when they already lose their status.
Yes.
Because then it's much harder.
Of course.
And they have to stop working. Unfortunately, that still happens.
I know, and it's hard, and I know a couple of people as well who are in that kind of position where their work permit was extended, and it gives them that kind of sigh of relief. And a friend of mine actually, they bought a car recently, and someone had said, "Well, why are you buying a car when you don't know if you're actually going to be staying in Canada?" And they said, "Well, it makes her life easier because they have a young child that they have to take to daycare." And if it so happens that they have to go back home, they'll sell the car. So, but in the meantime, you have to keep living. You have to keep going. You can't just sit and wait and wonder and wring your hands and go, "Well, what's going to happen?"
Put your life on pause.
You can't. No, you have to continue with your life, working and, studying and playing and whatever it is. And in the back of your mind thinking, okay, so I'm hoping that things can work out. But as you were just saying, it's not always about hope. It's about, okay, do you have a plan? Do you have an idea? What do you understand and what don't you understand? Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't have the right knowledge, the right information.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in some cases, they reach out too late. right?
Right.
You can't help if you don't know they need help.
Is it because that they may be afraid to talk about it? Sometimes, when things are going bad, people are like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine," but meanwhile not. So how do you like I know that you offer the support, but do you do regular check-ins just to see how they're doing in terms of, where they are in terms of, what do they understand, what have they planned, and even how they're feeling about the situation?
That's a great question. And I'm thinking you might be right in terms of they might be scared.
Yeah.
They think, what if, they let us know and, we just finish their employment or something.
Yeah.
That's not the case, but it might be coming from their culture. Maybe that's exactly how things work, right? Maybe they don't have the trust. Or it might be they're not proactive. They just hope, they think something will work out, and then boom, now it's too late.
Now it's too late.
Yeah. What usually happens, we have a large workforce. We have close to 500 employees in total, so it's definitely hard to follow up with everybody.
Oh, no, of course. Yeah.
I have some automatic alerts in place, basically where the system alerts me when their status is going to expire,
Okay.
at least a month before it expires. That gives me that freedom not to just manually check Excel, and try to catch it, but then the system informs me.
Okay.
And at this point, I follow up with them. I check if they have a plan. I check, what their steps are going to be to ensure that they know what they're doing, and then to ensure that we also can pre-plan. Because if we lose, let's say, 5 full-time people, that's going to affect us badly.
Oh, yeah.
So it's both the business side and the human side. Like, I definitely want them to succeed. And sometimes they just lack information. They need guidance. They are in the limbo and they're probably stressed and anxious because it's a lot of uncertainty, right? So in that case, at least, I ask for details. I've been there. I know how everything works in that field. So I ask them, and if it doesn't make sense to me, if it's clear they don't understand, I offer to meet and then just go over, what's going on, what they have, what they plan. Sometimes they admit that they don't know anything and they don't have any plans. They're just hoping it will work out. That's, unfortunately, that still happens, and that surprises me. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because, they travel, they made that decision to travel to Canada, and I'm sure it wasn't cheap and it wasn't easy. And so for them to make that journey and go through all that hardship and now to come here and think, okay, I've done what I need to do. Now I'm just waiting for them to save me, right? But that's not the case. It doesn't happen. No.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, there are different beliefs and different perspectives.
That's true.
I'm in one of the immigration forums where I provide free assistance. And recently I saw a very interesting post. Someone was very upset that his company didn't inform him that his work permit was expiring, and it expired.
Oh, no.
So I thought, well, that's on you. That's your responsibility to know what your documents are. And the company can assist, and they also needed to ensure you can continue working legally. But after all, that's your life and that's your status.
It is. And so waiting for somebody, again, to save you, yeah, it is sad because, again, it maybe it's their culture, maybe back home, the government or the companies were in a position where they were proactively helping them with the situation. But in Canada, it's totally different. And I want to talk about the election that's coming up at the end of the month. Now, I don't know how much either party has really talked about the whole idea about immigration laws and any changes or any positive, but whatever happens from the election, how do you think that that's going to affect the rules and regulations that are currently in place now? Do you feel that maybe things might improve or stay the same or perhaps get worse? What do you think?
That's definitely a very important topic nowadays.
Yes.
And I want to start by saying this is going to be my first time voting.
Oh,
I just got my citizenship
very
last
nice.
year.
Hey, that's so excellent. Yeah.
It is exciting to be a Canadian.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to finally vote.
Yes, because it's your right to vote.
Yeah, and I got my registration card. I looked at it, I took a picture, saved it. It's very exciting. I keep watching different parties, and I haven't really seen much regarding immigration. It looks like it's a do not speak about topic.
Oh,
Not sure.
yeah.
I'm hoping it will improve it, but it's really hard to say. Like, just a quick summary. What happened this year is IRCC cut down quotas for immigration, both on the provincial and the federal level. The federal level was already hard. The provincial level was more achievable. It was more, realistic for most applicants.
Right.
Now, the numbers were cut down roughly by half.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
I know some provinces were fighting back. I think BC just released something. They released their statement about their numbers. I'm hoping they got a bigger number. They were fighting back fiercely, same in Manitoba. But that's just the sad reality. Like this year, the PR numbers are way down.
Right.
Elections will definitely affect it. How? That's hard to say.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what party, would offer something to assist, because this is a known issue, right? We have the housing problem. We have some additional problems. Universities got a hit in terms of their students and their graduates. There are a lot of moving parts, a lot of changes. So I'm hoping that at least there will be some certainty, and at least the new elected party will be immigration friendly. At least, even if they can't just solve the problem, at least they will be ready to listen, ready to, assist and offer some solutions, maybe some long-term solutions. We can only hope.
It's a tricky situation, because when you think about what's happening down in the South, in terms of, their views on immigrants and newcomers and so on, I don't know that feeling will trickle up here in Canada. Because I know that, it's funny, I was teaching a class of students, and it was in public relations, and I asked them to come up with a problem, so to speak. And so the problem that they chose to talk about is this very topic that we're talking about. And so I asked them to provide, so if they were, let's say, providing a news release or a proposal to the government to change things, what would be the supporting evidence? They realized that these are all the positives that should encourage the government to say, yes, of course, we need newcomers because they bring in a new, fresh perspective. They bring in money. They bring in skills, talents. They contribute to the economy. And so there's so many positives. And I mean, yes, of course, there's always the bad ones, and there's bad ones in Canada, so there's bad ones everywhere. But to say that all newcomers or immigrants are somewhat affecting in a negative way is really wrong, and so that perception, I think, needs to change, and not just from the government, but also the public. The public needs to realize that, without newcomers, what is happening to our economy?
I mean, it's a very deep topic.
Yeah.
There are certain programs I disagree with in terms of immigration. They were not handled properly. It was a good idea. It was a good initiative from the government, but they were mishandled. And that brought us to where we are, from my perspective. This is how I see it. Unfortunately, there isn't much we can do to help it, especially after the fact.
Yes.
But there were a few, different immigration programs. The idea was great, but the execution wasn't. There were a lot of parts that were not exactly thought out. Hopefully, the new party will focus on making things work, not just canceling everything and leveling it out.
Right.
Absolutely not. But then I'm also hoping that they can see a big picture,
Yes.
not just initiate something and then have the, opposite result.
Right.
No. There were a few different things that just didn't work out exactly how they should have. And now the government is trying to change it. Like this immigration, IRCC, they used to approve almost, well, again, I'm not licensed, but they used to approve a large amount of applications. More like this. Approve. Now what they do is There's a loop.
Oh.
Reject.
Oh.
Reject.
Oh.
So that's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
They probably got the guidance from their management that we cannot approve as many as before.
Oh, so it's like a quota, right?
Yeah, let's find reasons why not to approve. And in some cases, those reasons are pretty ridiculous, let me be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it goes to their Facebook or LinkedIn, and it says, well, we checked your LinkedIn and your work experience doesn't match, so that's fake. Rejected. But then again, how can you really trust it? I mean, LinkedIn is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There are certain things. So I'm hoping that the new party will be able to kind of, assess the big picture, see the value of immigrants, and then plan their strategy properly. How, where, what, and then go from there. Yeah. And then, of course, focus on those immigrants who are already here. Because this is what we have. They already contributed. They contributed to the society. They assimilated, right? They paid a lot of money for their education, for other services, and they also pay taxes.
Yes, they do.
That's definitely something we need to focus on.
Yeah. Bringing
them in and then helping them stay, not just getting someone from, the external pool.
Exactly, yeah. Because they're an asset to the country. And we need newcomers because, again, it brings in a new perspective and so on and so forth. So I'm interested, there's the debate, English debate this week, and I'm going to be watching that and wondering if the topic of immigration comes up and how the parties are going to be adjusting to that and answering it. So that'll be interesting to see what they have to say in terms of that topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I want to switch back to something a little bit more of a lighter tone. You had mentioned that you have some very interesting hobbies. So do you want to share what some of those are? Because I know in your role as an HR director, it can get really heavy, and so you need something that is going to give you that chance to kind of have some fun and relieve some of that stress.
Absolutely. My motto is, work hard, play hard.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. My biggest hobby, which is also quite common, would be traveling. I love traveling. Exploring new countries is the best. It helps you see other perspectives. It helps you, get introduced to other cultures, meet different people, broaden your horizon. So far, I've been to 23 countries, I would say. Yeah, hopefully a bit more this year.
Wow.
And hopefully soon I'll be able to travel fully myself.
Oh.
And the way it will look is I am currently taking my PPL, which is a private pilot's license.
No way.
Yes, I'm hoping to get my private license and then I'll be able to fly
anywhere you want.
Smaller plane? Well, not everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mostly it depends on the type of, but if it's the regular PPL, that would be Canada, US, and Mexico.
Okay.
And which still gives me, a lot of freedom there.
Absolutely.
As long as I can buy my own plane, which is not happening.
Well, not right now.
No. I love flying. I've also done skydiving. I have 11 solo jumps.
Oh my gosh.
It was scary, definitely bone chilling when you are standing there at the door of an airplane.
Now, is it the same way every single jump or just the first one?
Same way.
Oh, every single time?
Interesting enough, the older you get, the scarier it is.
Okay.
I didn't expect it. I started when I was 18, and yes, it was super scary, absolutely scary. But then the older I got, the more reasonable you also become. So then you're standing there thinking, am I out of my mind? Why am I doing this? This is risk.
So why are you doing it?
It used to be, I guess first it started as a challenge.
Okay.
Can I do it? It's scary.
Right.
But can I? And I could. And I did. And then it was a really strong and powerful way to solve problems. Like when you are young, when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Sometimes those problems feel like it's just too much. You look around, it's, a problem here, a problem at the university, work, everything. And it feels like life is just gray. And then you jump. And you land and you think, God, I'm alive.
Yeah, I survived.
Life is good. I have no problems in life anymore. My only problem was to land. That's it. And it really helps you see the other perspective. Kind of just, renew
Yeah.
and start fresh.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And traveling as well, because you mentioned it gives you a different perspective on the world. Now, what is your favorite country? Or do you have a favorite, or maybe a couple of them?
You know what? Now I do.
Okay.
Last year, I had 4 jobs. That was absolutely tough.
Wow.
Finally, I realized that I was going down. I needed a break.
Okay.
I thought, okay, you know what? Let me try to arrange that break, or I will break down.
Yes.
I got the break. I got 9 days off. And I thought, okay, now I have a Canadian passport.
Okay.
That is a new perspective. This is a new way. Now I can travel more freely.
Yes.
Where do I go? So I thought, okay, let me see. Where did I need a visa before, but now I don't? So I was checking those countries, and Japan looked like a good destination.
Oh.
So I booked my tickets. I went to Japan, and since I was already there,
Mm-hmm.
I checked around and I saw that South Korea was pretty cheap to fly from Japan and back.
Okay.
So then I spent 6 days in Japan and then 3 days in South Korea. Japan is my number one.
Is it? Yeah.
I mean, it's common for me to travel. In some countries, I visited them more than 10 times. And usually when I finish, I think, okay, you know what? I miss home. I want to go home.
Right.
That's usually the case. Not with Japan.
You wanted to stay.
My last day, I was almost in tears, thinking, no, maybe I can call in sick and just stay longer. Of course I didn't. But I thought, no, I want to explore more. I haven't seen so much.
So what was it about Japan that really made you want to be there and stay there?
It's hard to say. I mean, I would say overall it's the vibe,
Mm-hmm.
which is, of course, hard to describe. It's just you want to be there.
Okay.
But it's so different, yet it's so neat and organized. They have amazing public transportation. That train, I would live on that train if I could. Beautiful nature, friendly people. It was hard to communicate, but they're friendly. Even if they have no idea what you're trying to say, they're still friendly.
Okay.
Good food. It was busy, but it wasn't hectic.
Okay.
Even let's say you go to the train station. What amazed me was the lines. Back home, it's busy. My city is about 13 million people, and it looks like a mess. You go to a station and people just push you, and you don't have a choice if you want to, get off on this bus stop or not. They choose for you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you either go or not. In Japan, there is an organized line, and no one oversees it. It's basically the train comes and everyone is waiting in a neat line. But how is it possible? Not like this,
Yeah, but just,
Not like this, but it's just in a nice, neat line, almost like a centimeter to a centimeter.
interesting.
How is this
Wow.
possible? No, it was interesting. I just like the culture, and I'm definitely looking forward to going there again and exploring it more. I haven't seen so much. I want to see more.
Oh, and I believe that you will.
I'm checking the tickets, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Well, this has been wonderful. First of all, learning more about your role as a director of HR and realizing that it's not just about wages and benefits and so on, but it's really encompassing the support and the encouragement that you're giving. And I'm sure that the newcomers that are working in your company really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing a little bit more about your experience and how much that means to you. And of course, learning about your love of travel and skydiving. Oh my gosh, I've never done that. I don't think I ever will.
You should try.
I don't know. Maybe not.
I'll take it.
Okay. Sounds great. So thank you so much, Daria, for being here. I really appreciate it. This has been Coffee with Jenny B for the Multicultural channel. I'm your host, Jenny Sacco-Bak.